Hey everyone, it's Kenlin, and welcome to your Astro and Energy update for the week of the 11th of August. Now, it's a quiet week, but let me just say first, have you been enjoying the shift in energy? I don't know if you've been feeling it, but ever since that new moon in Leo, there's been a shift in energy. Mars and Jupiter are playing well together in Gemini, and that means that there's some really good traction and energy for your projects through mid-August. Now, I want to presence that because I'm going to talk about a longer term event that's happening right around the same time at that midpoint in August, along with that full moon, that's going to start changing things. Now, the whole world is changing, and we're in the midst of it. In fact, we are the generation that when we're old, we're going to look back on this and say, holy shit, we survived this moment. We were there during that moment. Because the world in 25 years, and I get chills saying this, will be nothing like the world right now. Now, I don't know how, and I don't think anyone really knows how, other than plugging in an overlay of technology onto our lives. And just like we have that already, you think about at the turn of the last century or the century before that, the 1900s. I mean, you could say the 2000s as well, but that's a little more familiar. But we went from an agricultural based society that was the start of the Industrial Revolution. And then we went into the information age. And now we're truly in the age of technology. And that's Pluto in Aquarius. So get ready for that kind of a shift. Now, that took hundreds of years, and it's going to be a lot shorter because technology is fast. We're going into fire and air, and it's very fast, and it's changing very fast. So who do we get to be in the middle of all of that? I think that's the big existential question. What's for humans to do? And there's a lot for humans to do. So I'm going to presence that as well as a very long arc that's happening mid-August through November of next year. Oh, I love it. I get chills, and we're changing. So pay attention to the dates that I'm going to give you. Just note it in your head because you're going to see some shifting and changing. And then if you follow along in these videos, you're going to keep track with what's happening. So I'm going to also spread in some information that I learned from Brene Brown. I was on a live call with her last week. It was so exciting because she's on the cutting edge of leadership. And so I'm going to bring in what she's learning to you all. This is our way of disseminating information to our communities so that we're on the same page about what's happening. We have a super moon coming up in Aquarius, full moon in Aquarius, opposite the sun in Leo on the 19th of August. That's right around the time that the energy is going to feel incredibly intense. There are squares happening, T-squares happening. So change. Those T-squares invite action. They are not passive. So already things have been lined up in your life that you can tell. Maybe you're getting ready to move. Maybe you're getting ready to separate from your partner. Maybe you have a new relationship. Maybe you're looking for a new job. Like so much is new that's happening. Maybe you finally got some traction in something that you started 2 years ago. That's really been my story. Finally getting the clarity. I mean, we don't realize sometimes when we take on these new visions that we have to go through this very childlike stage. It's the stage of learning how to eat and feed yourself and walk. It's the same thing with a new idea. It doesn't just get mature. It has to be grown to maturity, and that grows you up or you quit, because it is, it's daunting. It's just like learning how to walk or learning how to talk. The little brain might think, I can't do that, but you can do that if you stay the course. And that's going to be a theme throughout this transmission. So we have Mars in Gemini conjunct Jupiter in Gemini at 16 degrees. So this is the moment. That's what this means, is this is the moment to be executing on your creative projects. Do not wait. Please do not wait. I know it's summer in the Northern Hemisphere and we're all kind of on a different time zone and getting the kids ready for school if you have kids. but do not wait. If you check in, I'm curious how you're feeling inside. Are you overriding a feeling that says, get on it, get on it, get on it? And you're like, I will in a minute. I will, I have to do this first, or I want to do that. Listen to what is happening inside, because that's the energy of the cosmos. And we are the cosmos. We feel it. Okay. Because whatever you do has great power behind it. We're going to go through some bumpy roller coaster ride, but when we start something with this kind of power, it gives us the like initiation, the energy, the momentum to keep going. So whatever that is for you, align, put it in action, and make time for it. All right. Now I'm going to talk about this piece that's coming up with the astrology. And it's going to happen a little bit before that full moon on the 17th of August. Jupiter in Gemini at 17 degrees, Saturn retrograde in Pisces at 17 degrees will be opposing each other. And that signature is going to happen several more times until November of 2025. So here's the push-pull dynamic of it. When you have Jupiter in Gemini, there isn't like an explosion, an expansion of ideas, an expansion of thoughts. And you might be just exhilarated by all the things that you think can be possible. Like, I could do this, and I could do this, and I can do this. And you're totally right. You could do all of that, because right now we're getting super lit up with ideas, with thoughts, maybe too much. And then Saturn in Pisces. Saturn in Pisces is different, totally different signature. It's the opposite energy. Saturn is the teacher archetype. Well, Jupiter's the guru, the teacher, but Saturn is like the Olympic coach, since we're in the middle of the Olympics, where Saturn is saying you have to get up at 4 a.m. and you have to put in 3 hours of intense intervals, whatever. And then you have to cold plunge, and then you have to eat a certain amount of protein, and then you have to do this, then you have to do that. And you don't want to, because it's a lot of work, but you have to get where you want to go. So that's one signature of Saturn. The other signature of Saturn can be just slowing down, because it's retrograde. It's like, not yet, not yet, not yet. So you could feel a push pull between action and, wait a second, is this really for me? And what I mean about not yet is not in contradiction to the Mars, because we do have a lot of contradictory energies and we have to get used to that. But we have to find that internal flow, because we're always in the middle of contradictory energies in our whole life. So we have to find the flow. Where is that action point? Where am I favoring inaction or overaction? Let me find that sweet spot. Is it mine to do? Am I in my lane? Am I trying to fix someone else? Am I trying to help someone else? Today I got a text message from a friend who said, can you help this one person? And I'm like, of course I can, but I'll tell you, give her my number, but they never call. They never call, because they never call when someone else is telling them to do it. So I've learned my lesson. I stay in my lane, and they'll ask when they want the help. And then you got all your Rolodex and you can help. That's one of the energy signatures. Is it in your lane? Is it yours to do? Is the timing right? Are all the things aligned? I don't even want to say it that way. Are enough things aligned? Because we're not in the zone of, I have to line up everything. We are building the plane as we fly it. And at the same time, we don't have the energy to execute on everything. And this is actually a theme going into 2025 that I've been sharing with my community, where the market space has elevated itself. It's gotten more sophisticated. It's up-leveled. So as we are creators, and that's what I'm working on with women, creating digital products for the marketplace on the Evolving Sisters marketplace or their own marketplace, the market space has up-leveled. And that means that it has discernment at a certain level. So what we were able to put out before, we were at the same level, but now we've we've upticked it. And the messaging, the communication has to be more laser, more nuanced, more on point. And that means for creators that they have to stay in their lane. No more breadth, no more broad is broke. Some people were just resisting that anyway, but you got to stay in your lane. What's that niche thing that you do that's very specific to you? And usually we need coaching for that, because honestly, it's not that intuitive. We think, well, I'm in empowerment, I empower women. No, actually, that's too broad. We got to narrow the conversation enough so that you distinguish yourself and that your own actual authentic message comes through. Because the market space sees empowerment and then it has these different flavors. It's like, I don't want just ice cream. I want mint chocolate chip, or I want cappuccino ice cream. Do you see what I'm saying? Very niched out. And if you have been resisting that, now is the time to get aligned. And I think it's very exciting. I resisted it for a long time, but it's very, very exciting, because the more that you really hone in on what's yours to do, the more you amplify and you shine. So we're in a process, and I think I'm going to weave in the leadership a little bit, and then I'm going to save it for another video. But we're in a process right now that is that yes, no process. And here's the thing. We're getting clearer about who we are. So on the 17th of August, that will take you through this full moon. We have that square, and it's a mutable square. So meaning it's got the signs Gemini and Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces. They're going to be most affected. So if you look in your chart, you get to see where 17, 18, 19 degrees of those signs are. And that's the houses that are being affected. So it's interesting to note. Then you're going to have another interaction in December of 2024. And this time, that interaction, let's see, it's also mutable. It's going to be 14 degrees of Sagittarius at that time. So it's going to be a little bit flipped. 14 degrees, the sun will be in Sag. Jupiter will be retrograde and Saturn will be direct. So they're switching retrograde direct at that time. So it'll be a different signature, but kind of the same thing happening again in December. Then we go to next year, and we have in June 2025, the cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer. 1 degrees, Saturn will be at 1 degrees Aries, which Saturn will retrograde back into Pisces, but Saturn will dip his toe into Aries 1 degree on June 2025. Jupiter will be in Cancer 1 degrees. And again, we have this same signature, different signs. So we have the Aries Libra axis and we have the Capricorn Cancer axes. That's cardinal. So cardinal signs are the initiators. Now, this is what's getting very interesting, because there's another one after that, which is it's going to open up the energy. I think by June of 2025, with the cardinal energy, what's going to happen is we're initiating something, but we won't really see its results until November 2025, because that is when Jupiter and Saturn are trining. They're not opposing anymore. They're together. They have benefic energy together. They're working together. So that opposition of so much expansion and then contraction, kind of like labor, right? Labor, like, is the baby coming? No, but those contractions are slowly pushing that baby out. And it is slow in this geometry because we're dealing with bigger planets that move slower. So we have, yes, Jupiter at 25 degrees Cancer and Saturn at 25 degrees Pisces at that November 2025 mark. And they're trining each other. So this is the moment where we go, I'm really glad that I kept the faith, that I kept going, that I kept the process, that I trusted. I'm so glad I did. And that's why I'm presencing the end for what's going to happen in August. You're going to be really wanting that trust now or that relief now, but we're just getting initiated because we have to remember, everybody, 2025 is the year when all the major planets change signs and we go into fire and air. And the rate of change like exponentially speeds. So I think it's a blessing in disguise because you'll want to be tweaking whatever it is that's getting initiated. You're going to want to be tweaking it because you don't know the future. You don't know what life is going to look like in 2025 at the end of the year. I don't either. It's going to be radically different. So whatever was something that we thought now with this mind that we have now, maybe we're going to adjust it, update it, change it in the next year and 3 months, year and 4 months. Going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. So let's take this push, pull, yes, no, massaging, contraction is exactly what's needed to get us to that point. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't move, you won't be in a relationship, you won't have any money. No, no, no. It just means that you may not feel that full go, even though inside yourself, you're changing and you're ready to go. And you're going to have Saturn always has to do that kind of tweaking to make sure that you keep pace with that growth. Maybe that's the thing too, is that who you're going to be in November of 2025, like we should do a future meditation, because who you're going to be in November 2025 is not who you are right now. And just imagine that there's like already a number of growth and lessons that you have to go through to get to that future vision. Now's the time to future vision it, put yourself on the course, and then take everything as your MBA school or your law school or your advanced degree program. How about that for context? I think at the end, we're going to be really, really glad that we did this. So I'll say just a little bit about this leadership. I think it's one of the most exciting trends that's happening. It's like basically the world at large is getting onto what spiritual people have been doing in their personal and spiritual growth work. It's happening because the forces of change and uncertainty are freaking people out to such a level that those in charge are having to up level, upskill, or they're out. They can't do it. So I'm going to talk about the 6, let's see if I have 6. Yep, 6 leadership principles that I learned from this beautiful talk that Brene Brown gave around daring to lead and the future of who we get to be. And I'll tell you, just as a little primer, the thing that matters is self-awareness. You already knew this, but I'm going to share with you how that is even affecting technology, change, and AI. And with that, I'll see you on the next video.